Hey everyone, I'm Aisha and I use properties in my 20s to help me build wealth. And today I want to show you some of the lessons I've learned along the way to help you on your journey. I don't do this full-time, but I have been able to manage a full-time job and work on investing part-time, and I've actually owned 3 houses in the last 5 years, one a long-term rental, one a short-term rental, and one was a fix and flip. I bought my first house at 25 and I'm now 30, which feels old, but I know I have a long way to go still. Today specifically, I want to talk about house hacking, which is a method where you use low down payment programs to buy and invest in multifamily properties. Yes, multifamily properties can be attainable and don't require a huge amount of cash up front. Are you intrigued? Good, let's talk about it. So let's talk about what house hacking actually is. I learned about this by doing research online about 6 years ago. I was kind of caught up in the 9-to-5 cycle. I was becoming disillusioned only a few years into working corporate. I was making about $60,000 a year and had about that same amount of debt coming out of college. And that was even with multiple scholarships. So I felt like I had done everything right. And I think that is the mindset of a lot of us, right? Like we did everything we were told to do. We got good grades, we went to college, we got a usable degree, and we still ended up in these jobs that really isn't keeping up with the amount of debt and cost of living nowadays. I knew there had to be a way for me to be able to begin saving and investing my money without having to work 2 or 3 jobs and tiring myself out in the process. Here is where I turned to YouTube and some online communities, like BiggerPockets, and I quickly learned about house hacking. So there are basically down payment assistance programs that allow you to put as low as 3.5% down on a house. But the catch is you have to live in the house for at least a year. The mortgage companies aren't looking to fund rich real estate moguls who already own a bunch of apartments and properties. So because of that, most of these down payment assistance programs are aimed at lower to middle income buyers as well as first-time home buyers. And one of the largest servicers of these programs is through the Federal Housing Administration, also known as FHA, which is a government agency. But there also are down payment assistance programs through conventional or private mortgage companies. FHA is the most well-known one though, I would say. So real estate communities focused on small investors realize that there are laws written into the FHA program that allow you to use those down payment assistance programs on a multifamily property up to 4 units. So duplex, triplex, or quadruplex. And you can put as low as 3.5% down as long as you live in one of those units for over a year. But because you have those extra units, that means you are able to rent them out and then help subsidize your own cost of living while you're living there. So basically your cost of living is drastically reduced or even free if you've got a really good deal on your hands. And then after your year commitment is up, you are able to move out of the property, and then you can put a renter in the unit you resided in, and you have a full-fledged money-making property. And because you fulfilled your commitment, you don't have to refinance your home into a investment mortgage if you don't want to. You are able to keep that property in your down payment assistance mortgage loan. So the idea has grown in popularity, I think, just because of the living situation we are in today in America. Rent and mortgage costs usually make up 30 to 50% of the average American's monthly income, which is absolutely crazy. Half of your money is going to just a place to live. So can you imagine what you could do with your money if you didn't have to worry about paying for a place to stay? Another huge benefit is because now your home is a business, you're able to write off a lot more expenses than you would have been able to if you were just residing in the home and it wasn't producing income through tenants. So let's say you have a duplex and you have an issue with the roof and you need to get it repaired. So because you have a tenant living on one side, half of your home is now a business, which means you can write off half of that expense on your taxes. The mortgage, interest, property taxes, utilities, all of those things are things that are now able to be written off to a certain degree. And another benefit is that you are able to write off depreciation on your home over time. And we all know that most of the time, homes really appreciate, especially if you look at a long period of time. So what that means is that you get the benefit of depreciation, but your home is actually appreciating in value. And when you have renters paying your housing costs, that means you have an expense-free asset that is growing over time. And then when you go to sell, you get to recognize all that appreciation in a lump sum of cash. So at 25 years old, I scrounged up $12,000 through very good budgeting at the time, because I was living paycheck to paycheck, and some small bonuses from work. I took that and put that down on a duplex that cost a little over $200,000. That $12,000 covered both my closing costs and the down payment that I needed at the time. So again, a very small amount of what the home costs. I had a renter on one side helping me pay down my monthly mortgage, and I lived on the other side for a year and a half before I decided to move out and put a renter in. 2.5 years later, after I bought it, in 2022, I decided to sell the home. And at closing, I was handed a check for $80,000. I did calculate out how much I had put into expenses over the years. I put about $15,000 into the home because it was an older home and needed quite a bit of care, but even so, that left me with a profit of $65,000 in less than 3 years. And that was all off my initial little $12,000 investment I had made. So most of that profit went into a new duplex, which was almost the same price as what I sold my old one for, but the new one was actually in way better condition, in a way better neighborhood, and it was basically ready for me to turn into another asset. I lived in that one for a while as well, and I've owned it for about 2 years now, and I'm excited to see where that investment takes me moving forward. So if you're watching, you don't need to be a millionaire with loads of cash to begin investing in property, and you don't need to make it your full-time job if you don't want to. Making smart investments over time can lead to long-term wealth, and I'm not saying I'm wealthy by any means, but $65,000 in less than 3 years is not something that I would have been able to save my way or budget my way into. And so I'm very, very thankful for that smart investment I made all those years ago. For myself, I definitely see house hacking as a long-term investment. Again, I'm on my second try. I did do a fix and flip, which didn't go so well. I really do enjoy the process of long-term investments and holding my asset over time. So I think that's where my path is, and I will continue to grow. If you're interested in hearing more about my journey, feel free to subscribe and let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.